Hello and welcome to Better Gaming, the event and podcast series dedicated to all aspects of ethical gambling. My name's Jim. I'm the host of this show. And today I'm going to be talking about the Postcode Lottery Group. And for those unaware, the Postcode Lottery Group operate in the Netherlands, Sweden, Germany, Norway, and here in the UK, it goes under the name of the People's Postcode Lottery. They all operate similar branding in the other territories. And this week they announced their 2024 financial figures. So let's take a look at it. You can see here it's a sizable operation, 0.7 billion euros of ticket sales, which equates to a 7.7% growth since 2023. Their prize pot is €1 billion in prizes and gifts, which is also considerable. It's 37% of the total proceeds of the lottery, and 969 million, so just under $1 billion, donated to long-term charity partners and thousands of projects, and that equates to 36% of the total proceeds of the lottery. Now that is a really encouraging figure, not only just from the viewpoint of the gross amount, but also from the percentage, 36%. Just to give you some idea, the legal requirement for a societal or charity lottery is that 20% goes to good causes. And although some people might seem this is a low amount, by the time you take in the operational expenses of a lottery, by the time you take out the prize pot, and by the time you take out other elements of the lottery, 20% does sound low, but it's not staggeringly low. And 36% by these guys is really encouraging. Just to give you an idea, typically charity lotteries will operate anywhere between 20 to 50% of their proceeds going to the actual end cause of the charity. Some will say higher, but they're not actually taking into account their acquisition costs. All they're talking is their administration costs and the prize pot, and come up with figures in 70, 80%. But by the time, if you're on an acquisition strategy for new players, you will inevitably be around the lower percentages when it comes to that. But having said that, I'm still pleasantly surprised by 36% of this operation going straight to good causes. So that's something of encouragement. And you can see here as well that since their inception in 1989 to the end of 2024, they've given 14.5 billion to charitable causes, which is money well earned and money well spent in my eyes. This is just a sort of regular reports about what they're doing, what they're up to, record year, expanding opportunities. Here is the figure about the revenues of the group in green. So they've always been in the Netherlands. We can see here the green is the UK, and that is really starting to grow amongst their territory revenue generators. And then this is just the one here. So essentially in the UK, we have generated £691 million of ticket sales, and to charities, that's 228 million. So when you equate that as a percentage, I did the maths quickly before I jumped on here, and that's 33%, and they've got a 40% going to prizes. So that 276 million is 40% of the total proceeds. So it's still a high figure. It's lower than the overall group, but I am suggesting that they probably do a lower percentage to charities, as they seem to be on a growth and acquisition strategy in the UK. So that would account for that. But, just a 40% on prizes is really, really high. Charities tend to operate anywhere between I know we're currently batting around about 7 to 8%, and generally it doesn't go above 15% for charity lotteries. So 40% is really high. It seems to have that mix, right? So they must be doing something operationally to really reduce the costs on it, because obviously charities are burdened by acquisition of face-to-face, whereas these ones with the wider territory can start taking advantage of cheaper acquisition costs across digital channels and television. And it will come as no surprise to people in the UK because their TV screens are full of the adverts for them, and it seems in the last year as well that they've upgraded on their ambassadors, so they've got a better quality ambassadors. If you deem Davina McCall and Fred from First Dates and Emma Willis as a higher rating than the X Factor rejects and past contestants. So, yeah, really interesting. This also feeds into the element of parliamentary pressure to increase the prize funds that can go in. I think Wendy Chamberlain is shouting this from the Lib Dems because her constituent, that is where the People's Postcode Lottery is headquartered up in Scotland, I think Edinburgh, and it obviously falls under her remit as the MP within that catchment area. So she's pushing for an increased prize pot in order to make it more attractive and also to compete with the National Lottery, which it seems to be doing here. Nowhere near on the scale, but definitely getting there. And also in conjunction with Richard Desmond's Health Lottery, which is making strides and also legal action against the Gambling Commission. So interesting reading. Interesting times for lotteries and seemingly good news for the charities that are the benefit end of this particular project. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you in the next one.